Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel. So what a day yesterday was. I've been at work, I've just got home, and I could not wait to sit down and make this video to talk about Battlefield 6, because I'm sure if you guys watched the reveal, most of you will probably agree with me, it looks pretty good, right? I haven't, played the game yet in the open beta test that the guys were playing yesterday, as I wasn't in any of these events, but it looked really good. I think there is fantastic hope for Battlefield going into the future. I think DICE have played it safe with this one. EA have played it safe. They haven't gone for anything strange. Some people have called out that they haven't done enough to innovate the game, but I think that's exactly what people wanted. They wanted Battlefield 3, they wanted Battlefield 4, and by the looks of things, that looks like exactly what we're going to get. Now, before I say anything else, massive shout out to Ladeus for providing me with the footage he captured from the event so I can put it in this video and show some of you guys. I'm going to link his channel down below. He is a fantastic Battlefield creator. I know he's going to be making stuff on BF6 as well, so definitely head over to his channel and give him a look. Really great dude. Massive shout out. Thank you so much, Ladeus, for the footage. Now, I would love to sit here and tell you guys exactly what I think of Battlefield 6 now that the NDA has been removed on Battlefield Labs. I'm also going to be able to talk about that a little bit, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow's video because there's really a lot to get in there. Today, I want to give you guys some of the important information, some of the burning questions the community's had about the beta. How do I get into the beta? Am I accepted? Do I need to get a key? How do I redeem the key? Also, we have some big news about double primary weapons for the assault class. That has reportedly been removed, at least to some degree. And then it also sounds like weapon classes are not just going to be locked in the beta, but also for the game when it releases on October the 10th. So, we're going to get into all of that in a second, guys. As always, though, if you enjoy the content here on the channel, make sure you are subscribed. There's going to be plenty more to come going into the future. Lots of videos, lots of streams, especially when the open beta comes around. I also want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out on the channel yesterday. Even though I wasn't at the event, you guys still came through, came out to watch the stream, and it was a blast. So thank you guys so much for that. Okay, so let's start with the biggest question here that I saw from many of you. How do I get into the open beta? Am I in the open beta if I'm not in Battlefield Labs? There's a lot of confusion around this, so I want to make it exactly clear how you get into the beta and what you need to do. So the beta is going to be on 2 separate weeks. It's going to be next week with a early access of the beta on the 7th and 8th, and then an open beta on the 9th and the 10th. And then the following week from the 14th till the 17th, that's also going to be open. Now, if you want access to those 2 early days on the 7th and the 8th, there are a number of ways that you can get in. One of the ways is simply by pre-ordering the game. The second way was watching one of the content creators yesterday who was streaming the game. I think actually drops also worked on my channel, so for any of you who were watching on Twitch, you probably will have gotten the drop there. You can then redeem a code. However, a lot of people reported that they weren't able to redeem the codes, and the reason for that is because the servers were simply overloaded. So if it didn't work for you, I just wait a couple of days. You've got all the way up until the 7th to do this, and hopefully the servers will sort of quieten down a bit and you can get your code redeemed. Presumably your EA account is linked to your Twitch account, so when you redeem that code, it will just flag your account for the early beta, and when the beta becomes available for download, which I think is going to be on the 4th, you should get the early access. Now, there's also a third way to get early access, and that is quite simply to have been one of the people to sign up for Battlefield Labs. So you don't have to be in Battlefield Labs and participating, you just had to have signed up for it. And Kevin Johnson confirmed this over on X. He says, on the topic of Battlefield Labs, you'll be getting early access to the open beta, even if you didn't manage to get into the program. So when they announced Labs, if you were one of the people who went and you filled out the survey and you signed up for it, you're going to be getting that early access, and there's really nothing to worry about there. Now, on the topic of pre-ordering, it seems that all of the calls to action to not pre-order the game have fallen on deaf ears, because as you can see right now, Battlefield 6 is the #1 top seller on Steam. Not a massive surprise. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how many weeks it stays there for. I don't really see why people are bothering pre-ordering it before they've even played the game. We no longer live in a day and age when I was a kid where you have to get your hands on a copy of the disc from your local retail store, and maybe they only had 100 copies, right? So you would pre-order to make sure that you got a disc on release day. These days, you can just pre-order the game literally the day before it releases, and you're going to get all of the same benefits. So I honestly don't see a point pre-ordering before you tried the beta. Unless, of course, you didn't get a key from the content creators, you didn't sign up for Battlefield Labs in time, because of course they've now closed the sign-ups temporarily. In that case, yes, you will have to pre-order to get the early access. Now, I think it's fair to say that one of the more controversial things that we've seen from Battlefield 6, which maybe wasn't to everybody's taste, is the double primary weapon perk, otherwise known as the weapon Sling, for the Assault class. So for anybody who doesn't know, what this allows you to do is replace one of your gadgets with a second primary weapon. And DICE have actually made a really nice change here, and they've detailed this over on X. And they say, following feedback from Battlefield Labs participants, it was clear that players felt the earliest iterations of the weapon Sling gadget was intruding upon class identity with its ability to use double assault rifles, or any other signature weapon, and we agreed. As stated in our second community update on classes, this is being addressed, so you will no longer be able to use the following as a secondary weapon with the weapon Sling, and that is the assault rifles, the LMGs, and the sniper rifles. I don't know why the SMG is not there, because that's also a signature weapon for the Engineer class, but I guess we'll have to see. But you can use the following as a second weapon with weapon Sling. So you're going to be able to use carbines, DMRs, and then shotguns. Personally, I don't like the weapon Sling system at all. I think even with limiting this to carbines, DMRs, and shotguns, it's still going to be too powerful. You know, the one drawback really of having a shotgun is that you only have a shotgun. So yes, whilst it's amazing at close range, and judging by the footage, it certainly seemed like shotguns were very powerful in Battlefield 6, at longer ranges, you're practically useless. But as soon as that player is able to take something else along with a shotgun, like an assault rifle or whatever, then that major drawback fizzles away. So it still sounds a little bit overpowered in my eyes. Clearly, we're going to have to play the beta, we're going to have to try it out for ourselves. The only worry I have is that this isn't something that DICE can easily switch off, because the Assault class has really been built up around this perk. This time around, the Assault class doesn't get heals, and they've taken the heal ability away from the Stim Pen as well. It doesn't get revives, so this is like the main meat of the Assault class is this weapon Sling ability, so I don't think they're ever going to remove this entirely, even if there's a lot of negative feedback around it. I think one thing they could do to address this, though, if it does turn out to be completely overpowered and everybody's picking it, is that they could simply nerf the shotguns or the DMRs and the carbines, these universal weapons, if you like, and make them not quite as potent. But, you know, time will tell how that needs to be addressed in the future. Now, I think this next item here is really going to please a lot of you as well. So, if you guys watched the stream yesterday, you probably did like I did. You watched the main reveal, and then you just went and watched like one of the other creators, because the main Battlefield stream, I like honestly just could not handle it. The commentators there were so like overhyping everything that it was just too much in my ears to listen to and also stream the event to you guys. So I went and watched other creators, but apparently they had some of the DICE devs coming on that stream giving little like tidbits of information away. This was reported on here by Battlefield Bulletin. He says, breaking, DICE lead producer David Serland has officially confirmed on the scene in LA that Battlefield 6 will lock weapons to classes in the open beta and at launch. If you don't like this system, both styles, locked and open weapons, will make it into the launch regardless of how the beta goes. He says it's not like this is a test where whatever you play more, we will choose. No, we will support both. So I think we'd all assume that this was just going to be a test carried out in the beta, and then whichever one tended to be more popular, that's what DICE were going to like carry forward into the main game. But apparently that's not going to be the case. They're going to support both. I don't know how they're going to do this. Like, are they going to have separate playlists for every single game mode with locked weapons and open weapons? Are they simply talking maybe about portal modes? Are we just going to be able to make portal servers with locked weapons, but otherwise the main matchmaking playlists are going to have open weapons? That remains to be seen yet, so I'm not going to say this is like a massive win for anybody who wants to have locked weapons, because it may not propagate through every single matchmaking playlist. And if they do have two playlists for every single game mode, that's surely going to split the player base, right? So it doesn't seem like a win-win, it's more of like a win-loss situation here. But nevertheless, this does show that they're certainly listening to us, they're trying to appease us at every turn here, you know, act on the feedback that we're giving them, and basically make us happy as Battlefield players, and I think they're doing a pretty good job so far. And that also segues me nicely into Battlefield 6's cosmetics. So I don't know if any of you guys looked at the Phantom Edition. Those are some of the first cosmetics that we've seen. I think they look absolutely fine. Some people said even those were like too much. I don't really see the issue here. I mean, to me, they look like military skins. You know, you've got to give DICE the artistic vision to do something with the skins. And these, I think, are perfectly in line with the grounded aesthetic that they're going for with the game. But since then, several of the devs have also chimed in and commented on this. So this is once again coming from Battlefield Bulletin, and he says, other devs from the Battlefield studios have shared David Sirlin's vision on Battlefield 6's cosmetic skins and EA's commitment to grounded realism. In an interview with DBLTAP, that's a bit of a mouthful, DICE design director Shashank Uchil pointed to Call of Duty's infamous Nicki Minaj skin as something Battlefield 6 doesn't need. So he said, it has to be grounded. This is what BF3 and BF4 was. It was all soldiers on the ground, pointing at the key art featuring soldiers in soldier gear looking out over a war-torn New York City. It's going to be like this. I don't think it needs Nicki Minaj. Let's keep it real. Keep it grounded. In addition, DICE producer Alexia Christofi told to Comic Book that cosmetics must feel grounded and authentic to this game's aesthetic. What I will say is what's really important to us is that things feel grounded, and we want people to express themselves and to have cool skins and peacock in a way like I look cool and I have this great weapon skin, but we want it to feel authentic to the franchise. That's the approach we're thinking. And then similarly, David Sirlin also had this to say. He says that's also part of the class identity, how you look. Probably more how you think you look than how you actually see someone. We have this shoulder identifier for classes like with the Recon, it's 3 antennas near their shoulder, similar to Battlefield 3. For example, there's a ghillie material on the Recon skins, and they're not used on the other classes to really emphasize the differences. There are some rules there, but it's looser rules than it's always going to look like this, but it needs to feel like it fits in the universe, because part of why I think we're getting this good feedback here is because it feels like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, in a sense where it fits. I think that's really important. So basically, from these sentiments here from these various developers, they understand the mission, right? They're not going to go and make any super wacky skins like we've seen in Call of Duty, like the Beavis and Butthead stuff. I mean, that would just be so out of touch with the community that I can never see DICE and EA doing that anyway. And I've got to say, most of the skins we saw in Battlefield 2042, they really didn't bother me that much. On the other hand, I didn't want to buy them. I had no interest in buying the skins in that game because I didn't like the characters. I had no personal relationship with those characters. Maybe in Battlefield 6, I'm going to feel differently. Maybe once I've played the campaign and it's going to be a bit more gritty and down-to-earth and serious, perhaps I will buy some skins in this game. Who knows? I'm not really that kind of player. I'm just kind of like, I don't really care about skins, to be honest with you. But yeah, it sounds like they're going in a good direction there. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today's video. I think I've churned on for quite long enough, but subscribe to the channel if you enjoy Battlefield 6 content. I'm going to be covering all the news around the game. I'm going to be all over the open beta, streaming it every day, giving you guys my thoughts. Tomorrow, I will be dropping a video telling you guys just what I think about Battlefield 6 in general. I'm going to be sharing some thoughts from Battlefield Labs and my experiences there. So if you want to see that, once again, make sure you hit that sub button. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Everybody who comes out and watches the videos, everybody leaving likes below, commenting, coming to the streams, you are all so appreciated. I couldn't do this without you, so thank you guys so much for that. And the future's looking bright, man. I'm excited, and it's been a long time since I've been able to say that about Battlefield. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.